In 2092, with the disappearance of the forest, the land became a private property. For the people, a company called UTS is building a new home around the world. But only the chosen ones can get there. The others still have to settle down there. So let's start with it. At the beginning of the film, we meet Taeho, who can be seen with a pair of magnetic shoes in his head. In case of an earthquake, he lost his little girl's body. After he has proven that he is not the one he is looking for, he goes to work with a superlift, which takes him around the world. Then we meet the founder of UTS, James Sullivan, a 152-year-old man who is in surprisingly good shape compared to his age. He tells the reporters that the plants that surround them produce 8 times more oxygen than the soil comes from the marsh, which UTS has made habitable, and will soon create its first colony, which is called New Eden. One of the journalists asks him what will happen to the earthquakes, or to those who are cleaning up the contaminated marsh. These are the so-called anti-plowers, entrepreneurs who make as much money as possible to collect as much garbage as possible. For the really big ones, a fair race is taking place between them. Yang's captain and his team, including a robot called Bubs, often steal the cargo of their competitors. It turns out that the pilot of the ship is Taeho, who, after the escape, carelessly breaks down one of the antennas of the passenger ship. Then they take their cargo to a waste management plant, where they throw the garbage back on the ground after processing it. The team, however, does not get paid for the damaged antenna. Then we learn from a broadcast that a small life-form android has disappeared, which was kidnapped by a group of black foxes. Yang's team spends their time with his right-hand card, where everyone cheats in their own way, with their craftsmanship and technology. During the game, their teammate, named Tiger Park, reports that someone has stolen his rice, and of course we know from the previous scene that it was Taeho. Not long after, the fight breaks out between them, and the robot usually wins the game. The next day, during a garbage collection, they find the missing android. The reporter then says that the little girl is so dangerous because the finders hid a complete hydrogen bomb in it. Dorothy seems to have gone up and exploded, but luckily she was only burned. Then, like the others, she also pretends not to jump out of the line. Taeho tries to tie her down, but his courage is in vain, so he rather looks through his bag, where he finds a phone. The only name on the call list is Kang Hyun, who is shot again. It turns out from the girl that she is much more capable of creating than destroying. The team agrees that since they are not UTS citizens, they would not even be given permission to find the android. That's why the black foxes should sell it. They call up the number they found on the phone, and they agree on a $2 million exchange rate. But James Sullivan also heard the conversation. The little girl still doesn't seem dangerous. She draws dinosaurs, and even made a portrait of Tiger. Then she says that she likes the Korean name Cottonham much better than Dorothy. Then a cop arrives, who wants to take a look at the ship. But they quickly take some money in their hands, and then take a picture to make it look like they lost it. The cop sees the company more clearly, so they reach the agreed place in the last moment. The fish seems to be disguised in a strange way. Soon they find Kong, and they are about to get the money, but the little girl disappears. She wakes up in the middle of the dance floor, but then a gunfight breaks out, because Sullivan sent the guard here. Cottonham casts a spell to protect them from the bullet swarm, so they can escape. Later, from the conversation between Cottonham and Bubs, we find out that Taeho was also a guard, who took a stolen puppy for himself. The boy didn't want to hurt anyone after that, so he was kicked out for disobeying orders. They were fighting in a parking lot, when a guy hit his daughter in front of him. He's been looking for her ever since. Meanwhile, Kong calls the company on a secret frequency, and they talk to each other again. But the androids get kidnapped in the meantime. Tiger is chased by a masked thief, who hides in front of him, but Taeho catches him and shoots him. But then it turns out that the host has a good partner. A gang fight breaks out, and we find out that the attackers are actually local hooligans. Meanwhile, Sullivan meets a reporter criticizing him. He tells him that people can be determined by their DNA, and he just wants to take the most honorable ones with him to the march. He used to be an eyewitness to his family's genocide, and then he agreed to create a better world. Then he tells the reporter that he's only doing this because he wasn't chosen to be the mayor, and that he's never done anything to save the Earth. But now he gets a chance to prove it. He shoots a policeman, and immediately becomes a citizen of UTS. The guy does this, but it was just a test. During the show, it turned out that Kabji had no place in the New Eden. But it seems that Sullivan's DNA is not all right either. Until then, Captain Young says that he thinks Katniai is not a robot, but a kangaroo. Because he shoots, eats, and pecks. His voice just comes out of the toilet. The captain also reveals that the people sitting with him are all members of the Black Hawks. After the truth was revealed, they say that they are not terrorists, but nature protectors, who think that if the kangaroo can be greened, then this could also be done with the Earth. They also say that the little girl had a genetic disorder that destroyed her immune system. So her father injected nanorobots into her, which filled in the role of the aliens. And with these microscopic robots, he can also control other nanorobots, which can even regenerate a dead tree. Sullivan had already been caught by Katniai and taken to the kangaroo. He also accelerated the spread of the plants there. After he finished, the scientists working on the transformation of the mast were liquidated, but the little girl escaped, as she could not be killed by the robots inside. However, a hydrogen bomb can be used, one of which is in the middle of the waste treatment plant. The company wants to take the girl there, and with that they would shoot 2 bullets at once. Because not only would they be freed from Katniai, but the Earth would also be destroyed. Then the guard appears, so they have to escape. Tiho and the girl hide in the greenhouse, but soon they fall down. Fortunately, Captain Young has already launched the ship to which they jump. But before the rocket finds the cockpit and the Lagrange point, they fall into the field of garbage, which is full of nanorobots, which destroy everything. The little girl, however, takes over the control, so she can save her companions. Meanwhile, they meet, so they give her a heart massage. But it turns out that there is no problem. In fact, she suffocates from the pressure. This is then taken to her father, but an electromagnetic bomb destroys their ship. Soon the guard arrives, and they kidnap the girl. They shoot down the black robots and Kong. Then Sullivan appears, who offers $4 million to the girl to prove that Tiho is also a bad guy. The captain and Tiger follow me, but Tiho wants to find his own daughter from the money. But he thinks about it, throws out the money, and comes back to help. An intensive space battle breaks out, during which the captain with his weapon, Bubs, secretly destroys the enemy spaceships and rockets. But there are too many, so Tiho enters the Earth's atmosphere, where most of them are enough. Then they free the girl, but she hasn't escaped yet. Because if the bomb explodes, the krypton waves from it will destroy the inside robots, and she will die. So we have to take her as far as possible from here. Then a bodyguard shows up, who is even stronger than Bubs. But Tiger shoots into space. The team, in a small infiltration, calls the space bombers to help. They come out and take care of the remaining spaceship. But Sullivan is still behind, who attacks with a giant robot. But then it turns out that the team is not taking the girl, but the bomb, which explodes Sullivan, and seems to be our heroes, but the Lagrangian nanorobots, so the team and the Earth also escape. Then the UTS company, who can be saved, promises that they will also restore the Earth. Cotnium looks for T-Hawk Girl, who turns out to be dead. But she is able to reactivate her consciousness in a short time, so they can say goodbye to each other. Then it turns out that Bubs bought a female skin from the UTS, because she always wanted it. She just had to change her voice, which Cotnium helps her with. The Earth begins to regenerate, and the story ends here. Thank you for watching, and see you in the next video.